Welcome to the Behind the Curtain podcast, a podcast about all things real estate. Our goal here is to help you become a better real estate agent, a better business owner, and to help you get more deals. Once again, joined by Taylor Goldenthal of the Bridge Group Collective, Cole Watkins of the Bridge Group West, myself, Nicola Palamento of the Bridge Group Heights, and Erica Sobba. She is our marketing extraordinaire over here, and we've brought her in as a special guest because it's now 2023, it's a new year, and you probably suck at marketing. But as a real estate agent, two things you need to be really good at: sales and marketing. So this is a very important component of every realtor's business that they usually don't do very well at. So thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right, so I think we wanted to kick it off. 2023, it's a new year. What do people think is important from the years prior to this that really we shouldn't be focusing on anymore, doesn't work anymore? You know, what are mistakes you're seeing real estate agents or really sales professionals in general making?
Oh gosh, mistakes. What I'm still seeing consistently, and this is not just for real estate agents,
Okay.
This is just people promoting a business or a service across the board, is that they're too busy selling themselves. It is too busy of, look at me, look how amazing I am, let me sell to the point that you don't even need to be there because I'm just going to blow myself up. And that doesn't work. Nobody likes to be sold to that way.
What does that look like, though? Because I have a couple things that are going through my head, but what you're talking about, if you had that ad that you could describe, what does that look like?
Well, specifically for a real estate agent, two pictures come to mind. It's the selfie with the hashtag real estate is life.
Okay.
And then the second one is a picture of the home that they just sold. In fact, I just talked to an agent this morning about growing her social media presence, and she's like, "Man, my Instagram, I'm posting pretty frequently, and I just don't understand why I'm not getting any engagement and any followers." And I'm like, "Let me take a look." And it's just flyers, the whole thing, flyers. Buy from me, buy from me, buy from me.
Like Canva flyers.
Yeah,
with
and I'm just
maybe,
like, you're stuck.
Like them on it, because
Them with their headshot in the corner with
rented
the house.
Ferrari.
Just sold. Look at me. And I'm
Right.
just like, your content sucks. I don't care to follow this at all. It doesn't provide any value
Right.
for anybody but you.
Well, a lot of what now real estate specifically is a very egotistical industry. Like your ego.
Sure.
A lot of people have massive ego. Even very successful agents, big egos. But and I think that when a new agent comes in, they're like, "Oh, that's what I'm supposed to do." And so they make these Canva flyers of themselves. They get photo shoots damn near every week, and then they put their photo on a post, and then it's like maybe 3-4 paragraphs of text, and I'm like, man, I don't think that's the way. I'm not an expert like you are, but I don't think that anyone is going to read your book of text that you have here next to your picture. What does it tell me? What does it sell me, right? Why do I want to use you?
Yeah, no. And, when it comes to real estate agents, ask any buyer or seller. They don't care how pretty you look. They want to make sure, are you going to take care of one of the biggest investments of my life? And can I trust you to manage this process from beginning to end? That's what I care more about. And in order to establish that, a flyer isn't going to cut that, or the paragraph. Like, there are so many things that you have to do in order to build that trust. The analogy that I always go to is like dating. Marketing yourself as a real estate agent is like pursuing a potential suitor. Pursuing that person.
A suitor.
A suitor.
Wow. We're going back to the Middle Ages here.
So,
I mean, you have to sit there and be like, woo these people and be natural, be organic. We don't want to be the fox in the sheep's clothing kind of person that's lying, manipulative, narcissistic, all about me. Nobody actually really wants that. We may be fooled and deceived by that, but we don't actually want that.
So Kelly and I were talking about that yesterday, and she said, well, maybe people like that, like conceited, narcissistic. Maybe they attract that type of person. Where I'm like, I don't know why you would want to attract or work with someone like that. But she was like, maybe that's who they attract or who they're going after. I do know several agents like that, and they do deals.
For sure.
But at the same time, I know that that doesn't work for me, or I haven't tried it yet.
Well, and I'm glad that you said that, because at the end of the day, as much as I pick on the selfies with hashtag real estate is life, there's a certain agent for everybody. There's a certain agent for everybody.
Live in a world of abundance.
Yes, and what you put out there is what you attract, very much so. And there are certain people that are like, no, you need to have the stiletto shoes, and you need to have the hair with the mousse and the bun, and you've got to have the jewel. Like, I need you to have those things in order for that.
And the juice.
A slicked back hair with the big, or whatever the look is, right? Whatever. And there are certain people that are like, yes, that is the person that I trust. That's the one that I want to handle this transaction. But then there are other people that are like, no, I don't want anything to do with that. So at the end of the day, everybody has a cup of tea that they're looking for.
So to your point, so what do you think the right things to post are? Some advice that I've gotten, and an idea, like my general direction is, people want to learn about the process. They want you to really flex your knowledge and show them, hey, I know how this works. These are some things that I find useful and valuable, whether you're looking to buy, whether you're looking to sell. People do want to see pretty homes to an extent as well.
Oh, yeah.
In the form of like home tours,
Right.
videos, and things of that nature, rather than just here's the shot that you can look up on the MLS, the one exterior picture. But not forgetting to show them the person behind the realtor, if you
Correct.
will, as well.
Correct.
It's a good mix of pretty home tours, informational content, and then little glimpses of who is Nick as the person or Cole as the person, rather than just the realtor.
Right. Well, I mean, isn't that marketing? Marketing is all about the like, the know, and the trust factor,
Yeah.
right? And so, to my example that I mentioned earlier of the agent that called me with her social media presence just plummeting on Instagram, I'm like, I don't know how to get to know you through these flyers. I don't know how to build trust with you. And I don't even know if I like you or not through these flyers. Like, you have not checked off any of these boxes because you're only sharing flyers of look at me.
Yeah.
And there's so much more to you than that. So,
I think a lot of agents, because they're not marketers and they weren't also not a salesperson until they became a real estate agent, they don't know any of this. But then two, you either are told just be yourself, and then most people don't know who they are. Like there is no self-awareness. So how are they
I don't
supposed
want
to
be myself.
Yeah, if people knew who I really was, So if you're a serial killer and also a real estate agent, don't be who you really are.
Stop killing people.
That's a bad thing. But I do, not at work. But unless they're bad people, then you can do
Vigilante.
that. Yeah. But I guess my thing is like, let's say this agent you were talking to, more than likely, and correct me if I'm wrong, she probably doesn't know how to be natural or how to be genuine. Or I feel like I've been told that before, and in the beginning I'm like, what does that mean? How do I show that I'm genuine or show that I'm authentic? When I'm like trying to become this persona, I'm trying to take on this role that's new to me, and I don't know what that looks like. So like being me would be like not real estate, because I wasn't doing real estate. Now it's me. I've been doing it for 5 years, so I feel like it's more a part of like my personality, but it wasn't before. So in the beginning, I felt like it was really uncomfortable to try to figure out how do I show myself on the internet.
How do you portray you?
Which is really strange because Nick has always been like into photography, into videography. Like he's always been behind the camera. And but at the same time, like he didn't really have a social media presence. Now he has a YouTube channel that is producing a lot of leads for him to sell them homes and for his team. So it's kind of a 180, but at the same time, I think that boiling it all back down is that it doesn't, in my opinion, because of how many agents we work with on a daily basis, I'm just begging some of them to post, period. I don't care if you post a link, I don't care if you post a book of text, just post something. So I think we can all agree that if you're a real estate agent and you're a secret agent, you're going to be a poor agent and not an agent for very long, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, what would you, if this agent comes to you and is asking you for help, how does somebody 10x, we just actually went through that book, it's Grant Cardone, how does an agent 10x what they're doing on social media? How do they increase their followers? If you were going to help somebody grow from 0 to 1,000 followers on Instagram, TikTok, whatever, what would your kind of initial advice be? Where would you start?
Well, one point that I wanted to make with this example that we keep running with is I think the reason why she posted a lot of that is not only because she didn't know how to present yourself in front of a camera lens, because that's essentially what you're doing, but it's also mimicking what you think you're supposed to be doing, right? There's so many agents that are, oh, well, they're posting just listed, so I guess I need to post just listed. And I'm like, well, kind of, but not exactly, right? Like there's little tweaks. It's devil's in the details, right? Sure. It's the details that make or break your ability to grow. So in order to answer your second question about 10xing, right now, and every expert will agree, video marketing is where it's at. You know, numbers are a thing that you just can't argue with numbers. And when I looked it up, 82% of the world consumes the internet in video format. That was last year. The year before that, it was 80%. And all the experts are like, it's going up. And I say this in all the marketing classes that I teach across Texas. What are you going to do when your competitors are posting all of these videos, and then we're at 95% video consumption? Where is your lead? Where are your leads going to be? They're going to be with your competitors that are posting all of these videos, because that's what we want to consume on the internet.
Which is great for us, because the Bridge Group, at least the Bridge Group West, is just now at about like 45% of the agents are doing a weekly database video, and then they're carrying that video onto their social media, cutting it up, using short form, long form, all of that. Which has been a struggle, but at the same time, y'all know it's been a very big struggle. But I've been telling them, because our coach has been telling us, everything is going towards video. You need to get on board with video. So a lot of the biggest hang up is that they watch the video that they just made and they're uncomfortable with it. They don't like seeing themselves. They don't like hearing themselves.
Oh, yeah.
But, you know, at the end of the day, I didn't either, but I knew that my competitors would be working with my clients because they were willing to do video and I wasn't.
Yep.
Done is better than perfect. And at the end of the day, I always try to tell people, who do you know outside of real estate or television that records themselves speaking on camera? No one. It's all in your head. The general public is going to watch that video of you putting yourself out there, as awkward as you may feel you were, and say, oh, wow, that's really cool. I could never do that.
Yep.
I could never do that is probably what they're going to say.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I mean, your social media profiles today, it's kind of like your resume. I mean, you're going to meet a prospect at an open house. They're going to get your mailer or your card at the door. And what are they going to do? They're either going to throw it away or they're going to Google your name. And what is going to show up? Your Instagram, your Facebook, your YouTube. Right. And it's an opportunity for you to display professionalism, proficiency, and a little bit about who you are as a person, so they can know, I like the way that guy or that girl speaks on camera. I like the content they put out there. Let me call them. I actually do want to buy. I do want to sell. So that's why I think it's just so important.
Yeah.
Well, and more so, video marketing allows you to quickly and effectively allow somebody to get to know you better.
Yes.
That is why it's so powerful.
It's
you
warm.
pick up on energy. Yeah. You pick up on somebody's character. You pick up on somebody's so many things. That's why I love video marketing. But you know what's interesting is whenever I bring clients on board to manage their social media, I'm like, let me be very clear. If you're not going to do selfie video marketing, I cannot help you. In fact, I will not help you. If you're not willing to show up for your potential prospects, then I can't show up for you either. And also, the data backs up the fact that nothing else works but selfie video. So I am putting my name on bad data. Right. But what's interesting is that I get, more often than not, so much pushback. Erica, I don't like the way my voice sounds. I don't like my nose. I need to get my hair done. My roots are short. Whatever, right? And
those are all just excuses.
The first 2 sessions, it's like therapy. It really is like a therapy session. I'm like, what has convinced you that you don't deserve to show up for your people? You know? And so it's constant questions of like, what are you convincing yourself of that is preventing you from showing up? And then it's just unpacking those and then reframing their minds so that they then have the confidence to show up. But when they do show up, they're like this, hi, I am. And it's super awkward, but I'm like, it's okay. Let's put it out there. And within about a month or 2, you watch their shoulders go down. You watch them kind of relax a little bit. You watch their eyes start to brighten, and then their personality comes out. And I tell them, don't be, you're not a Hollywood news anchor, okay? You're a real estate agent, okay? And speaking in front of a camera lens is a skill, and it's very uncomfortable. So allow it to be uncomfortable, but watch how it becomes comfortable and it becomes easier.
Yeah, that was gold. I think that like that
podcast is over. Let's go.
So I'm taking that and I'm going to show that to the other 55% of our agents that need to embrace video. But I would say this too, is that like I'm thinking of agents, real estate agents in all different types or times in their career. So the agent that just got their license, right? The agent that has been in it for 2 years but hasn't had a good run. The agent that's been in it for 5 years, and is just now kind of starting to have to embrace social media. And so for me, I love making videos now. It's super convenient. It's super easy. I don't want to write a bunch of text, on a picture post. So
And also worry about the grammar and spelling.
right, I don't want to do that. And then also I get a lot more views. I get a lot more interaction because it's video and it's being pushed out there. But you look at brand new agents, right? And brand new agents, and I know I'm speaking from experience. I didn't have that persona. I didn't have the confidence, and I didn't have the mountain of deals that I can now sit on, and that experience that came with that. And so I just tell like all of our new agents, I'm like, you really should do videos, and we do videos together so that we can introduce them to, like, hey, this is, Taylor, he just joined the Bridge Group, this is, and we kind of interview them to give them a little bit of confidence doing that first video. At the same time, I want them posting stuff, just listeds, just solds, only because their sphere doesn't connect with them, doesn't trust them, doesn't know that they're in real estate, period. So the more that they can see them doing stuff in real estate, video or not, is going to endear their sphere and say, all right, they're actually doing stuff. Like, they're not just posting next to a Ferrari they rented. They're actually like, and so, but for me, I feel like, and for Nick and Taylor, it's more of like Gary Vee documenting what we're doing on a daily basis, right? Taking pictures here, saying we're shooting another, behind the curtain podcast for our agents. So it's kind of evolved from just letting my sphere know that I exist to documenting what we're doing on a daily basis.
And Gary Vee even says, it's not about creating content. It's about documenting content. So you don't have to think about like, oh, I need to produce a TV show and I need to produce all this stuff and I have to come up with all these ideas and think about it's more just document what you're already doing. So a lot of the encouragement I give to like our newer agents is, I get it. You don't have any clients, so you're not going to go and show them a house, so you can't document that. But you can go book a preview at a house, and you can go show it to somebody, and then document that you're there and share this house on social media. People don't know that you don't have a client with you, right? Yep. So you can show so many things that you're out and about. You go to a realtor event, and you can share a story about being there, and you're still putting content out there that people are like, oh, wow, they're doing real estate. They have zero clue that you have no clients and you've never sold a deal before. But it's the frequency, right? It's repetition builds familiarity, which builds trust. Mm-hmm. So it's just about them seeing you constantly all the time. And the second piece of advice I always give agents is nobody will ever see the first video like that you make. There will be no views on it. So you can like stress about how perfect you are and make sure your hair and my audio and I got to get a camera, but nobody will watch it. So it doesn't really matter. Like you just have to make the videos. And then over time, like my very first YouTube video that I ever made, I think to this day it has 15 views 5 years later. And it's not a good video at all. But that video is part of a pool of 70 something videos that I've made over the course of the last few years that now when somebody like finds me on YouTube, they don't find one video, they find 80 videos. And so then they watch one that was really interesting. And then I have this whole back catalog of all this content. They can see, man, this guy's he's been making content for years. Like he's probably a trustworthy person.
Yep.
I could probably believe what he says because he seems like he's an expert if he's making that much content. And so now my videos will get 1,000 views on them, or I'll have one video that's like 600,000 views. But I would never have gotten that video had I not spent a year every week for 52 weeks making videos that nobody watched.
Right.
And I think that's the hardest thing for a new agent to kind of comprehend is like, one, you got to get over yourself and just do it because nobody's going to watch it. But two, it feels like there's not a tangible, like, I make the video, I get something.
Yes.
So then you're like, well,
Instant
why am I going to do
gratification.
video? Nothing comes out of it. Nobody calls me. Like I was having a conversation with you today and I'm like, I'm talking about videos I'm making, recruiting content. I'm like, I've done almost a video a day every day for 3 months. And I've not had one person message me off of any of these recruiting videos.
Before you got a lead from
exactly. But then it was 52 weeks, 52 videos on YouTube before I ever had anything pop
a year
or had somebody message me or email me off of it.
Yep.
So I know that it's a time thing. And even I got like into like a man, like am I wasting my time? Should I keep doing this? And I've already been through that cycle before.
Right.
So, but you just have to
We
suck
live
it
in
up
a
and do it.
very instant gratification society. We
Yeah.
want immediate results, and we want the most amount of results with the least amount of work.
Yeah.
Nick just hit on something that I tell our agents that are struggling with video all the time, and like we fret and we worry about the how we look, how we sound, like if we're gonna fumble over our words, whatever else, and the fact that the main point is no one watches them, and so like if you're looking at like our weekly database video, which I want you to talk to us about how to get a better open rate. But our weekly database video on this podcast, it's actually really good. I think we have a 17 to 18% open rate, which is unheard of. But at the same time, on our weekly database video for the Bridge Group, it is way less. And you'll see them open it, they'll watch it for 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 15 seconds. But a lot of those, that's our past clients. They know us. They're supporting us, but at the same time, they don't really watch a lot of it. Mm-hmm. And so I always tell them, and it's kind of discouraging and encouraging at the same time, just send it. Push them. The worst video is the one that wasn't sent. Send the video. They're not going to watch it anyways, but the main thing is that they're seeing you every single week and you're staying top of mind.
That's exactly right.
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly right. Top of mind is very key.
So, Erica, how do I increase my open rate on my weekly database?
Yeah, come on.
How
do we get that up?
Give me the secret.
Please.
So, it's a couple things. And I said a couple things earlier, but really I'd like to add a third point here. So, starting with number 1, subject line.
Okay.
Subject line is huge. And it's never what you think it's going to be. So, most of the time, right, agents will be like, October newsletter 2020. And you're like,
Right.
yes,
Ugh.
You're right. It is a newsletter
that
of
is true.
October 2020. You're right. That's exactly true. But I have no reason to open that. So instead, what I want you to think about with subject lines is I want you to pique curiosity and spark interest. And how do you do that? You make a bold statement, you ask a question, or you have a partial sentence where they have to read the rest of it. When they open up
Clickbait.
It's clickbait. It's totally clickbait.
Yeah. I'm dying is a subject line.
To sell you a house.
To sell you a house.
Boo.
No, you know what's crazy though is that as much as I'm against clickbait, everyone that I watch on YouTube and that I focus on does clickbait all the time, and I know it. It's expected. Like Graham Stephan is a perfect example of that. He's always, the market is crashing, and then you open the video, he's like, well, not crashing. Like he goes into it, but it's expected. And clickbait doesn't have the same like negativity that it used to be associated.
If you think clickbait, most people say clickbait. I would define true clickbait is
Very negative.
you're served a title and then you're delivered something completely different in
Correct.
the video that doesn't. The title has no connection.
Correct.
So you're told.
Deceiving.
Yeah, I bought this Lamborghini for $1. But then in the video, you learn that there was actually a process that they went through, and they did tax reductions and deductions in this, and they were able to, on paper, say that they bought the Lamborghini for $1. I still got served what the title said,
Right.
so it wasn't lying. And I think that's the main difference is what you don't do is you don't write a title and then deliver something that has nothing to do with the title. Mm-hmm. At least have a reason. Like you said, your one you did was about Facebook, is going away or dying. Mm-hmm. And then you were saying like, what if that is something that you heard? Yeah. So you still delivered on the title. You didn't lie, but clickbait is almost essential because people won't click on it if you don't do it. So it has to be tantalizing enough that they will want to click. Just don't hand them something opposite. Hand them something related. Make sure that your title isn't like can't be a complete lie. That's all.
I think it's like it's expected, and it's almost a form of entertainment now. As far as like going through YouTube's and reading, I'm like, good Lord, now I'm hooked. Now I know it's not the case, but now I got to watch it.
So aside from really focusing on that title and leaving it up, making it pique their curiosity, what are some of those other tips to?
Yeah. So the second thing would be segmentation. Segmenting your list is beyond crucial. So anytime I'm working with an agent and we're looking at their list, I always ask, who do you have in your list? Who are these people? And the majority of the time, they're like, I have no clue.
They've got builder sales reps and title companies.
But nobody's labeled. And I'm
Right.
like, okay, so when you do decide to send your emails, which almost nobody ever does, when you do decide, what do you send? And it's always like, something generic. And I'm like, do you like generic stuff? Do you? And they're like, well, no. And I'm like, so what makes you think that they're going to like very generic information? They're like, I'm like, okay. Whenever you want to speak to somebody, which is a basic communication rule, you want to speak to them in a way that they're going to listen, that's relatable to them, that they understand. You have to know who your audience is, right? And we do this naturally without even realizing this. And you know this because the way that you speak to a 5-year-old is drastically differently than the way you speak to a 80-year-old, right? Your energy is different. Your pitch even is different. You know exactly who you're talking to and you pivot based on that. You can't just be generic, right? Because then you lose both audiences. Well, when you're emailing a very generic message, you lose any interest whatsoever, and then you become spam. Yeah, so whenever I'm working with a client, a real estate agent, on segmenting their list, the go-tos that I always, the go-to categories that I always use are buyers and sellers and past clients, right? Those are 3 totally different types of people. Past clients are either going to be referrals and repeat business. So the message that you tell them is different than somebody who's wanting to sell their home. It's drastically different than somebody who's wanting to buy a home. So if you know you have these different lists, then you can start calling them out in the subject lines. Hey, here are 3 things to think about when selling your home. Here's one mistake that you could avoid when selling your home. Here's this for selling. And then every email that you send is specifically targeted to those people. And because you've segmented it, now they're much more willing to listen because it's more specific to them. It's a message that's relatable and resonating to them, right?
So what would you say about if you were sending a weekly database email? Right now, the way that we do it is everybody that has been a past client, a current client, or a lead, they all get the same email. But we usually have a video at the top that is usually giving some sort of information. It's educational. It's a home tour. Maybe there's some a graphic about the market and how sales are doing. Are you saying that that's wrong and we shouldn't do that?
I'm not saying that that's wrong, but what I'm saying is if you want an open rate that's higher, you have to segment it. In fact, I have the data to back that up.
It only makes sense, like if you're speaking specifically to someone that wants to buy a house, they're going to be more prone to open something that has to do with buying a house or buying real estate than these are the top 10 books that we went through last year as a team. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's like kind of a relationship.
And well, some people open it, sure,
Yeah.
of course, but we're talking about getting your email open rates up.
So optimally, you want 3 weekly emails essentially. If your goal is I'm gonna have a weekly database email to my contacts, really you want to do 3 per week if you want it to be optimal. 1 targeted towards your buyer clients, 1 of your seller clients, and then 1
that
your
would be the most ideal email marketing campaign. Now, most agents don't have time for that.
Mm-hmm.
So then in that case, yes, you're sending a weekly
I'll
email.
correct you there. Most agents do have time for that.
That's true.
They absolutely do have time for it. They just don't make the time. They'd rather scroll.
Fair.
than make the time.
Well, anytime that I speak to an agent, they're like, I don't have time. I don't have time.
Thank you.
It's interesting though, but I guess it really comes down to, at the end of the day, the first step is just send a weekly database email, and once you have that down and you're consistent in that, then you can start really segmenting and getting everything else kind of
Which
honed
leads
out.
me to step 3, collecting data.
Yeah.
You have to have an email open rate, an email click-through rate report of every single email that goes out. I track the day I send it, the time I send it, and I'm looking for patterns and consistencies. And if ever I send an email that I'm like, I know this was a damn good email, this is really great content, but it got less than my, normal open rate, I resend that sucker 3 months later. I just change the subject line.
Yeah.
So I recycle the content. I'm like, I'm going to get you to open this.
You could absolutely recycle the content. We All Texas Soft Wash. I was like, recycle that thing. Like, that was a great picture. Like, do it. What do we put it for content? Like, redo it. It's fantastic.
Say it in a different way.
Yeah. I
so-
have friends
Say it in a
like
different way.
fitness models that you will see that same picture, and I know I've seen it like 12 times. 2 months later. but it's a damn good picture.
And the majority of people won't know that it was reposted. So you notice because you're probably paying attention to them, you know them really well, whatever. But the average follower that they have is probably going to think that that's a new photo. They won't even know that it was an old one. So like I had a series of videos that I did, and I did them last year, and they only got, 10 views or 15 views, 20 views. So I just reposted the same ones, and I just changed the captions, so the captions look a little different. But otherwise, the content is identical. Reposted it, and now they 150 views, 200 views, 300 views on them. Same video, nothing changed.
So
Just
let me ask
reposted
you
it.
this, and this is more of like a YouTube thing, but I've noticed that people are posting the same video with different thumbnails.
Yeah, A/B testing.
What are they doing?
A/B testing. So the idea is if you post content, especially on a platform like YouTube, the thumbnail and the title are going to be the biggest reasons why somebody will watch it. Then it's the first 10 seconds of the video that becomes important. But you can make the best video in the world with a terrible thumbnail and a terrible title, and nobody will watch it. So you can make a terrible video, but if you have a great thumbnail and a great title, you'll have a lot of people clicking on it watching it, but then they might drop off after the first 10, 30 seconds because it's a bad video, right? So then we get into like your audio has to be good and lighting and all this. But if the main thing is A/B testing is like you'll see a video go up, and they will be tracking how many clicks they were getting in the first day, first 7 days. Then they'll just swap the thumbnail but leave everything else the same to see if they can get more people to click on the same content.
Got it. Okay.
Right. What's interesting is that goes back to we are very curious creatures, sparking curiosity, piquing interest. Yeah. And I have 2 kiddos, a 6-year-old and a 4-year-old, and it's not very often I let them on their iPads, but when I do, I let them go to YouTube Kids. And do you know how they search YouTube? That damn thumbnail. They'll sit there and swipe and swipe and swipe, and all of a sudden it's this very large, bolded, colorful picture, and they're like, that one. It has no idea what it's about. Or for an idea, no title, no nothing. They can't read. But it's the thumbnail that will determine whether or not they watch the video.
Now, I will say that is becoming a little less important than it used to be, because now you'll notice if you're on your phone or you're scrolling through YouTube, the videos autoplay.
Yeah.
So half the time you see the thumbnail for a split second before the video's already rolling. So now most people would tell you that actually the first 10 seconds of the video being very interesting and hooking you is now almost just as important as the thumbnail, because most people won't see the thumbnail anymore. So you still need to do both.
Unless they go and stalk your channel.
Yeah, you still need to do both because if they go to look at your channel, they're going to see all your videos and they're not going to autoplay. And there's some platforms, like some devices, where it's not going to autoplay.
And that's also on social media.
Right, yeah. So if you're on thumbnails, like if you make a thumbnail for your Instagram reel, nobody will see the thumbnail unless they go to your feed and they scroll through all your videos. Then they'll see the thumbnail. But on just their regular feed as they're scrolling, they're just going to see the video. It will just play. Yeah. So now it's the first 10 seconds of your video is actually the most important thing alongside your thumbnail. It used to, like, as long as you could hook them on the click, then you were okay. Now it's actually, because I think YouTube specifically recognized that, well, people are getting served something different than what the thumbnail shows them. So let's just start auto-playing the video, and if they like what they're seeing and then they click on it, we know that they're really interested in the content. It wasn't just a really good thumbnail. So they're still important. They're both important, but your Erica, content is important.
Let's say you finally got an agent that said, okay, you know what, you're right, I'm ready to start recording video content, meaning like facing the camera. It seems now that, like, I see it all the time. It's like a professional production now, just for a 45-second video to talk to you about the home buying process. Is all that really necessary, or like, what do you think is like the bare minimum that still works without having to go invest all of this money in a camera and in lighting and microphones and everything else? Does there have to be this big barrier of entry and have to have a video production?
No, absolutely not. And if you look at any of my videos, I use my cell phone.
Yeah.
I use my cell phone. I record selfie videos. Some of them are good quality. Some of them aren't. And I post them, and I'll get 10 views. I'll get 600 views. I'll get 7,000 views or whatever. And I'm continually and consistently growing the platforms that I'm on. And I refuse to switch over to professional videography and microphones, because a lot of the clients that I bring on are newbie agents that are like, well, I don't have a nice camera, or I don't have a nice mic. I'm like, you don't need it, honey. And I'm proving to you that you don't need it. Now, obviously, when you get to a place where you can invest in those kinds of things, absolutely. But to get yourself going, You
But
just need your
even
cell
then,
phone.
One of the gentlemen, Tom Ferry, he's one of the top producing real estate agents in Beverly Hills. He literally showed us at a Tom Ferry conference. What I use is my iPhone, and then I have a microphone because I want the audio to be a little bit better, especially if I'm driving in my car. But he's like, I have this microphone and my iPhone, and that's it. And literally, like, he's touring these houses. He has it on his iPhone, or the majority of his videos is he's driving in his car and he's talking about the neighborhoods and that Will Smith lives here and that Michael Jordan lives here. And he's talking about all this stuff, and he's growing his base. Mm-hmm. And so he has a bigger base to sell to, but he's fumbling over his words. He's, hitting speed bumps. Shit's going everywhere.
Well, and that just goes back to being comfortable doing that.
Yeah.
And that's why my first 2 sessions are always therapy sessions, because I'm like, it's okay to be normal and authentic and
if we want to
genuine.
hire you just for a therapy session, how much does that cost?
I feel like our first 2 meetings as real estate agents with buyers and sellers is also therapy sessions.
It really
It's very much-
is.
Yeah,
There's a
absolutely.
lot of barriers that
Yeah.
you've got to get past, and everybody has, different concerns, fears, insecurities, and you have to be able to call them out and then change your mindset on them.
So really, it's just being consistent. First of all, just doing it and getting out of your comfort zone, and then being consistent will trump the best production value possible at the end of the day. It's just doing it on a regular basis.
Yeah,
Well,
Just
it
be
goes that
consistent.
it's that authentic, genuine. Like, I like using equipment because for me it's an interest, it's a hobby.
Sure.
So I like buying all that stuff and the gadgets and the technology, right? But I will tell every agent on my team, please don't go buy all this stuff.
No,
Like, please use your cell phone, because in a way, the most important thing is not that the camera is really nice and not that the lighting is perfect and not that it's actually just that you shot the video, you provided good information, and people got to see your face. That's really the most important thing that they care about. Not that they don't know that you're using a Sony A7S III and a log profile and you're editing it final. Nobody cares.
Yeah.
Like, I care because I like that.
Exactly.
My client doesn't care. So shoot it on your phone shoots 4K. Like,
Yeah.
you have it's not like it's bad video.
You
Yeah.
don't have an Android.
Some
right?
of it, you don't have an Android. Some of it is just,
Freaking potato.
it's just simple changes. Yeah, potato.
AJ has an Android. No, he doesn't.
Cameraman AJ uses an Android. Boo. But some of it is just minor
record, I
changes,
don't.
right?
Yeah.
Like, just from a video perspective, when you're filming yourself, just find a good window to sit in front of. That's your light. You don't have to go buy a $7,000 big old light with a dome, and just sit in front of a window. If you're gonna use your iPhone, put it on a tripod, so you don't have to hold it, right? So you're not having to do this. Like, set it on a tripod. You use a plug-in lavalier microphone so that you have good audio instead of talking to your phone, which is 5 feet away from you and it's picking up all the room.
Oh, yeah.
These are small. They don't cost any money to make
And-
those changes, but they level up your video quality.
That is what I teach as well.
Yeah.
To anybody that comes on selfie video, I'm like, we're going to have a little video lesson.
Yep.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about the top 11 things that you need to be thinking about. I'm like, write this down.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then once you do it consistently, then it's like my setup. It's probably $130 all in now. And I've been doing video consistently for 2 years almost, and it's a ring light, a standard light, a tripod, and a microphone.
Yeah.
Like $120 on Amazon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just use this.
Yeah.
That's it.
Some of my best ones that tracked the best were quite literally me just walking around in my backyard
Isn't that
talking to the phone.
fascinating?
And then like I sit down, I adjust the lighting, I have a good backdrop, I put the microphone in, and it's like 600.
Nobody cares.
But you know what, though? I always go back to, I know that the end goal here is to build that traction and build the thousands of views so that you have more people entering your sales funnel, so that you start generating more leads and you start generating your revenue. I get it. And it's coming. Assuming that you do it correctly, strategically, and consistently. But at the beginning, the goal of you posting this stuff is for you to show up for your sphere of influence.
Yeah.
The people who are already in your database, who are already in your life, that forgot what you even did before you became a realtor. Like, they need to understand that this is your new life, and they're going to forget the first 233 times that you tell them, because we're so consumed in our own lives. Wait, what do you do again? Mm-hmm. But as long as you're staying in front of them, right? Okay, so that's one of the things that I say. And I go, the second thing that I say is, at the beginning, you're not going to get thousands of views. It's coming, but you're not going to get thousands. You're going to be in around 20, 70, 80, 100. I go, but let me ask you this. If you were standing in a room of 48 people and you had 3 minutes to talk about the fact that you're a realtor and prove that you know what the hell you're talking about, would you tell me right now, oh, I'm sorry, that's not good enough for me. No, you'd actually have stage fright
Yeah.
because you are overwhelmed with the fact that you're speaking in front of a room of 78 people. So remember, video marketing
great
is
point.
so
Yeah.
powerful because you have the ability to reach 23 people in the split of a second. I'm like, so be grateful for those 23 views. The more of them start piling in and coming, but you have to keep
great.
showing up.
Yeah, so y'all have been talking about something that I wanted to bring up was in the very beginning of my real estate career, I was going for the immediate call to action. I was going for the like reach out to me because I want to sell your house.
Yeah.
Reach out to me because I want to sell your house. Reach out to me because like I want to help you lease or buy or whatever else. And Alex Ramosi talked about it maybe 4 or 5 months ago. Is that he too was really going after that sharp, immediate call to action.
Mm-hmm.
But now the most beneficial thing, and I've seen it too in my own career, is the long game,
Mm-hmm.
is the educate game, the relationship game. And like it or not, I mean, you are forming a type of relationship with your viewers. And if you don't believe that, ask anyone that watches the Kardashians. They feel like, and I watch the Kardashians, but they feel like they know Kim.
Yes.
Right? On a first name basis. And that's what our weekly database video and our spreading everything out over Facebook, Instagram, all of our videos does is it helps familiarize yourself with your audience.
Mm-hmm.
And now we have 68% of my personal deals come from Sphere and past client referrals.
Love it.
And so and that's the long game.
Yep.
That in the very beginning I was like, well, why the hell isn't anyone reaching out to me?
Yeah.
Like, I would see my Sphere. I posted the week before and they just closed on their property with another realtor. And I'm like, what the heck? Like, but again, I was only posting stupid stuff that was irrelevant and it wasn't being seen. People weren't trusting me. There was no warmth with it because I refused to do video.
And also, we tell agents that social media, video marketing, it's also a long game.
Yeah.
Don't do it expecting that tomorrow everybody that you know is going to buy from you because you made one video
That's
or
so
because you
true.
posted one social media post. But if you do that for 52 weeks, then somebody from California will email you because they watched your YouTube video and then watched 3 more that you made and said, I like this guy. Can you help me buy a house? I want to move to Texas.
Mm-hmm.
But if I hadn't made the 52 videos because I was like, well, nobody watches it and nobody's buying a house from me, then I would never have gotten that lead eventually. So it's also a long game. You have to remember that we're not saying only do this, only do social media marketing, only make videos and don't do any other prospecting or lead generating. Like, no, you have to do the open houses. You got to do the circle prospecting, all the other stuff we talk about. But this component is like, start doing this at the same time, just knowing that it will eventually generate
Compound
and
on
become your main
Compound effect,
lead
right?
generation source,
Well,
right?
so there's never going to be a compound effect if you don't have consistency.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of your main tenets that you teach is consistency.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Right.
All right, we're gonna rapid fire.
Okay.
I've got one. The almighty algorithm. Do you find like you hear, okay, post at 7 a.m. before people go to work, post at noon when they're on their lunch break, post at 6:30 when they're getting ready for dinner or just finished up dinner. Is there like a magic bullet? No,
No.
really.
At the end of the day, the goal of each platform is to make sure that you as the user is happy, so much so that you stay on it, and even more so that you come back, right? That is their end goal. That is their whole, how can I make you happy with my platform? How do I do that? Well, I watch what the users are doing with my platform. I watch how they're interacting. I watch how they're engaging. And I use that data to test and measure and tweak. And I'm constantly in this cycle of doing that. And since the beginning of time, we are always going to want something that serves us, right? It doesn't matter whether it's videos, books, looking at pictures on rocks. It has to be something that serves us, right?
Yeah.
We have to resonate with it. We have to be entertained with it. We have to find value in it. It needs to relate to us. Since the beginning of time, it's always been like that, right? And we're not going to stick around if it doesn't hit those boxes.
It's not a one-stop shop because everyone has different preferences, so there is no special magic time.
And the algorithms are like, how can I continue to serve you as my user? And if it's at 5 o'clock, great. If it's at 10 o'clock, great. But like at the end of the day, If you post a video at 5 o'clock in the morning and it is like the crappiest video I've ever seen in my life, I don't care what time you posted it. I'm not showing that video to anybody.
Yeah.
And I'm like, stop getting caught up on the algorithm.
Yeah.
Stop. Instead, start focusing on providing value that is educational, that's of quality, that's relatable, that's resonating, that's entertaining to the people that you're trying to serve.
Yeah.
And do it over and over and over.
That's great.
And then track it.
Yeah.
And then track it.
And then track it again.
With that being said, we've primarily been talking about obviously database and email, but Instagram and Facebook. Are there any other platforms that we should be focusing on? TikTok, LinkedIn, OnlyFans, anything like that, that we should also be focusing on as a real estate agent.
Only homes.
To get to get more engagement.
Yeah.
You have some nice feet. You could do OnlyFans.
Only
They're really
homes,
soft.
though.
They're like unusually soft feet.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
Wait, but you mentioned
Supple.
only homes. Is that a thing?
No, but I had this joke going at the start of the pandemic, like nude house tours, only homes.
Okay.
Wow.
Anyway.
I love
I
it.
think you would have gotten a lot of traction.
Yeah, I really
I
do.
yeah.
think so too. I bet if you had been doing it for a good
If you would have
year.
had your supple feet in
Yeah.
the empty home.
Yeah.
You know what
yeah.
that reminds me of?
Put
That
'em up on
guy
the
on
mantle.
TikTok that does apartment tours in New York. Have you guys
Yeah,
seen that
it's
guy?
like, hey, what do you pay for rent in Manhattan? And like
Yep.
the guy goes up.
Yes. Yeah.
And I'm like, and he's been in celebrity homes.
Barbara Corcoran. He just did Barbara Corcoran's house. That was
Yeah.
really cool.
I
He
think-
got in.
The Daniel Mack kid who did the on TikTok, it's like, hey, I love your car. What do you do for a living?
Yes.
Oh,
He
right.
just bought like a $300,000 Porsche.
I love it.
Like he built an empire.
I love it.
Off of
So
And
that.
all because he just started
Yeah.
doing it.
Yep.
Okay. So.
Okay, so
Any other
so
platforms?
what I always say is rule number 1: be where your sphere of influence is. If your sphere of influence is on Twitter and you get a lot of engagement on Twitter and you've been building up that momentum on Twitter, then you go be on Twitter. But if you have nobody there, don't be there. Don't be there, right? And then I also say, if you don't already have a presence, now's the time that you need to start friending people. All the people that you went to high school with, start adding them. All the college friends, all your family members. I know it sucks, but if you don't want to put yourself out there, you don't need to be a real estate agent. Go find a different go find a different career, because this isn't for you. So you need to start connecting with people on a certain platform and be on the one where a majority of users are in the world, which is Facebook, Instagram. The second thing that I always say is you also want to be on a search engine. So YouTube is a video search engine, and TikTok is now becoming a search engine. They are showing all those capabilities of being able to search keywords and all that kind of stuff. So they're competing with YouTube right now as a search engine. So I'm like, pick either YouTube or TikTok for starting out, and then go be on a social media platform and be on the one where your target audience and your sphere of influence is spending their time. And if they're not there, then go build it and give it everything that you've got. And then the last thing that I always say is kind of to your point of like, you do have time, you're just not making time. There's that time battle there, but I'm like, okay, if you're really struggling with the time of putting yourself out there, just pick one, be so amazing and consistent with it. And then when you start generating revenue from it in 6, 9, 12 months, then go pick the second one. And that's what I did for my business.
That's a great point that you just said, because I think that whenever people think about jumping into real estate, they might have 2,500 followers, or they might have, and so they're like, oh, okay, I got a pretty nice sphere of influence here. All I got to do is make a few posts, and I'm going to get some shout outs and some leads from that. And that couldn't be further from the truth. And we always kind of talk about social media as far as in the category of prospecting has a gray area, because in my opinion of prospecting is having a real conversation one-on-one with someone where I'm getting, it's either a real estate conversation or I'm getting their contact information to put into my database. If I'm putting posts out there on social media, that's more of, in my opinion, especially in the beginning, branding and awareness and presence.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not direct to that person unless they DM you, which is great.
Right.
But at the same time, it does not take the place of that one-on-one or that prospecting where you are going out there and getting rejected. And many people would rather do social media in place of prospecting because they're not getting rejected. So I think that was really important to bring up, because I feel like you said 6, 9, 12 months. That's whenever you're going to start getting people in your DMs saying, hey, let me see that property, or I'm thinking about buying. What are your thoughts on this market? And opening up that dialogue.
Right. And you also mentioned something else about getting out there and prospecting. I always tell my people when I bring them on board is there's 3 places to market yourself. There's the referral space, making sure that your sphere of influence knows exactly what you're doing, and that when you start getting clients, they're referring you out, coming up with an awesome referral program. The second is physical marketing, door knocking, door tags, open houses, farming, postcards, all of that stuff, anything that's physical presence. And then the third one is digital. And within digital space, my specialty is obviously social media. But I'm like, but hear this. Please, if you're only going to be doing social media, you're missing out on all the other things that are meant to be connected with one another. And I'm like, so I'll happily take you on and do this with you, but if you're not doing this other stuff, you're wasting your time and your money. Yep. And also, you're not going to see your results even longer than the other people that are dominating the other 2 forms of marketing. So when you're talking about out there and prospecting, absolutely. I'm like, this is not a place for lazy agents.
Right.
Don't put all your eggs in the social media basket. You have to be out there showing face and doing all these other forms of marketing, because digital is not the only thing.
All right. Next up, should agents use and pay for templates that other people made that have generic quotes or generic information and share that on their social media?
No, absolutely not. Anytime somebody ever asks that,
for our viewers, what's an example of that?
So I see a lot of agents who, again, in the beginning, they don't know what they're doing, whatever. So they feel like, okay, well, somebody else made a post, and so then like an organization made a post, or you'll see these websites where you can pay a monthly fee.
Keeping Current Matters.
Which I think Keeping Current Matters makes great content. But if you're just sharing Keeping Current Matters as post, there's nothing about you. You're not adding any value to that conversation. Or there's these services where they're like, hey, real estate agents, pay us $15 a month and we'll post on your social media channel, and they just change the colors, but you'll see 5 agents will have the same post, because it's the same templated content. It's not like individual. So that's an
absolutely no.
Okay.
Anybody that asks, that's an absolute no. And here's why. I'm very big on data. I'm very big on tracking and reporting. And if you're going to invest time and money into a beautiful business tool like social media, there has to be some sort of accounting on it, really. And I like to say, rescued a few accounts from platforms that or companies that have hired platforms to post for them. And on I always go back 12 months. 12 months. I look at reach, engagement, growth, a number of followers, and everything is like plummeting downwards. I have yet to see an account where everything was trending upwards beautifully. I have yet to see it. And so, I'm very big on, you can't argue the numbers. So whenever somebody tells me that, I'm like, let me pull your data real quick, and then we'll have a conversation. And they're like, oh my gosh, no wonder this isn't working. I'm like, yeah, because Facebook is like, ooh, your content really sucks, honey.
Even if it's like a really cool looking Canva flyer or built flyer or a graphic or whatever else, doesn't matter. You can't argue with those
Instagram
numbers.
Is like, I'm not pushing it out. I'm sorry. Nobody's engaging with this.
So take that Keeping Current Matters article and script it yourself and turn it into a video that you put in your own words, sharing your own perspective.
Or if you're going to share it, do a green screen where you have it behind you and you're giving your thoughts and opinions on it. That's what I try to tell the agents is like, look, you might not be a graphic designer. I'm not asking you to go and design your own like bar graphs and stuff. Like, don't do that. Go screenshot the bar graph from HAR's, monthly newsletter or monthly report, and then just green screen yourself, and then you give your insight onto what does that graph mean to the end user
for your people.
Right. Yeah.
In your area.
They're all doing that now.
Yeah.
And, it's actually cool.
So like I did one that was, and you did it. You actually gave him the idea. Mm-hmm. So Taylor goes and he makes a video and he talks about JP Morgan spending $1 billion and buying. So I saw the video and I was like, that is a great video. I could have just reshared Taylor's, but that wouldn't have been my voice. It wouldn't have been my audience
You,
hearing from
yes.
me. So I just screenshotted the same thing and gave my interpretation of the exact same article, which was very similar to Taylor's, but because it's my face, my people are seeing me, they're getting to see my opinion on it. That's going to
exactly
do way
right.
more than just, I think resharing is nice, but if you just get into the habit of only sharing other people's stuff, you're not going to ever really grow a following, because people can kind of be like, you're just resharing other people's, just not you. You know?
Well, and it goes back to having everybody has their own cup of tea, right?
Yeah.
Even though y'all both talked about the same thing, there are certain people that are like, that's cool, but I'd rather hear it from you.
Yep.
Or
Lots of people
vice
say
versa.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I got more clicks than you.
But yeah, I don't
No.
like that. I don't like that type of content.
Yeah, no, and to the point that Nick made too, it's like I saw Taylor's video, I really liked the idea, so I made my own version of it. I tell people all the time, there's no such thing as an original thought with real estate social media content.
Yeah.
It's been done thousands of times before. Take that material, put it in your own words. Don't rip someone off word for word, but put it in your own words and share it.
Yeah, your
There-
opinion.
You can there are only so many topics involved in real estate. Like there's 36 steps involved in purchasing a house. Okay, there's been millions of videos about each of them.
But most people haven't seen you do a video
Exactly.
about
Correct.
that, right? And that's the key point, is like, it doesn't matter if it's done before. You have a slightly different interpretation. You might have a different spin on it. Or even if it's identical, it's you making it as opposed to them
Yep.
seeing somebody else make it. And you
That's
never made that
so
video
true.
before, so you make
Because
it.
people get so hung up on that. I got to come up with a really good idea for a
Nope.
video.
Yeah,
No,
don't do that.
You know, whenever I'm ready to batch out content, I go and I watch Instagram videos for hours about real estate, and I just make notes. Oh, I love this topic. I'm going to save that video. I'm going to reference
That's
it
a
later.
good idea.
And yeah, and I literally I draw inspiration from other people's videos that I found to be helpful. Yes, I have my own ideas that other people have also probably thought of. But draw inspiration from other videos and put it in your own words. It's like scripting at open houses or what have you. This is the script. Don't read it word for word. This is just the overall message. Put it in your own words. It's going to come across organically and authentically. And that's how you create a good piece of content.
Another suggestion on that
Yeah.
that I give my agents is keep a diary. When you get on the phone and somebody asks you a question, write the question down in your notes app.
That's brilliant.
And as you know, I'm constantly working with people one-on-one. I'm constantly teaching classes. And at the end of my phone calls or at the end of my classes, I write down in my notes app one particular statement that they made that I'm like, who told you that? I'll make a video about that. And I just create this content library. So when I batch my content, I go to my list or I send myself emails. I like to just send myself an email and the subject line is my topic idea. And it's like a content library that makes it so much easier.
Yeah, that's great.
Next
Because
up.
it's happening constantly in your life.
Next up. Should you be dancing on TikTok?
And pointing at little text bubbles.
You know,
Do
I
you
think
need to
that's
do that?
personal preference. I really do. I think it's personal preference. If that's you, do it. If that's not you, don't do it. I don't do it, and I've been able to grow following and have generated almost all of my business from it. And I've generated all the classes that I booked from social media. Somebody came across one of my posts. I mean, and I've never danced in any of them, which is very interesting because I'm a dancer.
Yeah, you are.
I'm a
That's
singer.
very-
I'm a dancer.
that's
I'm a
strange.
magician. I'm a...
I was hoping you would say yes so that Cole would have to dance on TikTok. That's what I was really hoping
No,
for.
but it goes back to what you were talking about earlier. Like just be you, genuinely, yourself. And there was a girl that Kelly was showing me yesterday within the Tom Ferry network, and she's got like 9,000 followers and like continuing to grow. And she does the dumbest dances. Like it's the stupidest stuff that you've ever seen, but it's kind of hilarious. Like I don't even know her, and I'm laughing at it. I don't want to be taken that way as far I don't want people to laugh at me as a real estate agent, because we definitely weren't laughing with her. But if she gets business that way, and that's two different things too. Yeah, you can gain followers and not get business,
True.
and you're poor. You are. At the end of the day, I would rather gain business than gaining followers. To have both is great, but I'm not doing stupid dances to get it.
Well, yeah, and we just, especially as real estate agents, happen to be in an industry where I only need to get a few leads to make a good amount of money.
Yeah.
I don't need, would I like 100,000 followers on YouTube? Sure, of course. It's less about the amount of followers and more so the amount of business I would get if I had that many followers.
Bigger
But
base, yeah.
but it's also like I only have 1.7 thousand on YouTube, but I've closed 7 deals from it. So even though it's not a huge following, the amount of money that it's less about the AdSense and the monetizing that everybody kind of like runs after, and more about, is it generating a conversation with a human being who's going to buy or sell a house? Because that's actually where my money is mainly made right now. Now, could there be something to be said about eventually scaling it and having monetization and sponsorship deals and all that? Sure. I'm monetized on YouTube. It's only a couple $100 a month. So it's a nice little bonus, but that's not the most important thing. The most important thing is I want to talk to somebody. I want somebody to reach out to me.
Right.
So.
Well, yeah, whenever that gentleman reached out to you, and I think we sold his house for like in the low 400s, and then he bought in the high 900s. That is paying you way more than YouTube will for a while, right?
Correct.
So, and you have 7 of those. I mean, that's incredible.
Yeah. Okay. Captions. Should you auto caption all of your videos natively through the apps, or is it okay to have a captioning service or for you yourself to add captions to your videos? So, for example, I think of Alex Hormozy, Ryan Pineda, that style of captioning where it's colorful and there's words and there's emojis, and I like that, so I do that in mine. But I've been told
Also personal preference.
But I've been told that is not something that's good to do. What do you think?
Well, I love to follow Adam Mosseri, who is the CEO of Instagram. And every Tuesday, he shares a tip on what's going on with Instagram. He explains why they're doing things. When they pushed out all videos to be reels, he was like, look, I get it. A lot of people aren't happy about this, but the way of the world is videos. And if we're going to stay current and whatever, he's the one that explained that. So I love his transparency. I love his willingness to share what's happening to this algorithm, if you want to call it that, and help the users, the content creators, to help the content creators provide even more value to the users on the platform. And it's actually a really neat little tactic for him, because he's enticing the creators to stay, which then entices the users to stay as well. Anyway, in one of his videos, when he explained that hashtags aren't really a thing anymore, he explained...
Did you say hashtags are not a thing anymore?
No. He explained in the video that what they're focusing on is of quality content, right? That was like his bold statement that he made. We're focusing on quality content. And he was like, how are we determining that? We're determining that based on what you say in your video, the dictation, and the caption, the description that you put, and if you add any title overlays. He was like, we're using those. And if you're just so hung up on those hashtags, you're welcome to use 3, but really that's not really
so we shouldn't add 100
anymore.
hashtags at the end of the... Okay.
No.
So
Straight from the horse's mouth, right?
So if I want to accomplish like what hashtags were for the SEO, search engine optimization, it's a matter of obviously the dictation, what you're talking about in the video is going to get picked up. So if I'm talking about the greater Houston area real estate market, or talking about home buyer tips, and then I put in my little paragraph below something talking about Houston and real estate and home buying or selling, what have you, that all operates the same way as the hashtags used to. Correct.
That's a great way to look at it. Yes. And so whether or not you're putting those beautiful little captions on, they're still listening to what the video is about. And you can upload a video into CapCut and it dictates the video or shows you the dictation within what?
30
10
seconds?
Yeah. 20 seconds, depending on how long your video is. Trust that the platforms all have the ability to easily dictate what your video is. You don't need to actually see the caption to determine whether or not they're dictating the video. So I just don't think, I haven't seen an impact on whether or not that has improved all the accounts that I manage. And I don't do any of the animated, again, that's a personal preference. I personally don't like those, and I find them very distracting. But I know a lot of people...
So I know that she doesn't watch my content.
No, she just doesn't like it.
No, it's such a great point, though. I mean, it's like you can talk about house slippers to your spouse, and then next thing you know, you get on your phone and you have advertisements for house slippers. Well, so it's very obvious that the platforms are listening. Yeah, they are listening, and they know exactly what's going on in that video, that piece of content that you post.
Elon, without send me a Tesla. I'm sorry, what? Buying sellers, please buy a house.
Oh, geez.
If you're listening,
I lost.
But yeah, they're listening. So whether or not it's the captions, whatever, I don't think that makes an impact.
The algorithm's picking it all up regardless.
Yeah, it goes back to Instagram. Is like, is this a good video? Oh, it is a good video. Wait, hang on. oh, it's about buyers in Houston, them. Okay, go. Who's next? Like I imagine there's like this person that's like, you go there, cat video, it's cat people, birds. Oh yeah, like I just imagine that that's how it is. And how could it not be? Because the platforms are trying to make sure that you as the viewer are happy with what you're seeing.
Yeah.
And you're going to be happy with what you're seeing based on how you're expressing interest with the world of the internet, you know? So whether or not you have a beautiful animated caption, I just don't think Instagram is, oh, you don't have captions? Sorry about you. Like, I just...
Good to know.
Yeah.
Because I spent a lot of time on it.
It's definitely an aesthetic that people want to go for. And that is someone's cup of tea.
I like it. It attracts me. Whenever I see that,
me
I'll
too.
click on it. Yeah, especially like on YouTube Shorts is where I see a lot of it. It's real cool.
How frequently should somebody post?
I love this question. The way that I answer that is always this. Let's say that you're coming to me to train you in the health and fitness department. And you're asking me, hey, Erica, I want to be healthy. I want to be fit. I want to have a six-pack. How often should I go to the gym?
Every day that you can.
I would say, how often do you think? How often do you think that you need to drink water, eat healthy,
Once a month.
go to the gym to see results?
Yeah.
How often do you think?
Yeah, every day.
Is it once a week? Is it twice a week? How often do you think? And they're like, 5, 6, 7 times. I need to be doing something. And I'm like, why? Why would you not just do one? Because you know that the results are going to be nearly impossible to reach the least amount of time that you go to the gym, the least amount of the time that you choose to eat healthy, the least amount of time that you drink water. So with that analogy in mind, to answer the question of how often should you post, well, how many times do you think that you need to show up in order for you to see results quicker, right? Quicker, not quickest. And I like to do 5 times a week, Monday through Friday, because that's when I see most amount of activity. I've done Saturdays and Sundays, and it's kind of a hit or miss. It's not like it's impossible, but during work hours when people are supposed to be
Scrolling instead of
working and
working.
actually scrolling during social media, that's when I do it. And I'm finding results with that. So, but I have heard people say 3 times a week, 3 times a day, 5 times a day. I'm sure there's probably proof in that pudding, but I don't want to be at that point.
Yeah.
No. That sounds awful. There's got to be a healthy balance, right? I wouldn't want to go to the gym 3 times a day either.
Yeah.
Maybe you would, Cole, but
If you
not
If
I.
you wanted to look like the Liver King,
I barely go once a year.
it's like steroids.
$30,000
Yeah,
a
you
year
just
in
need-
steroids.
Yeah, that's all. That's
A
what
month,
you
I'm
need.
sorry, not a year.
What is the steroids of social media?
Ads.
Speaking of the
Paid
Liver
ads?
King, what
Should you do paid ads?
Is paid ads the steroids of social media?
I mean, it definitely allows your content to be pushed out to more people in a shorter amount of time. You don't
Be
have
focused,
to worry. Yeah.
niche down
It is
and
very
focused.
focused, but when it comes to running ads, I've seen a lot of people fail at it. And when I ask them about their end goal, and I ask basically, what were you asking them to do? It's always something super hard or super committal. Buy from me, use me. And I'm like, you're asking them to bypass months worth of building like, know, and trust in 10 seconds. And you're wondering why no one is converting. So I'm okay with running ads, but I'm like, the ad that you need to be running is to get people to gracefully and organically enter your sales funnel. How can I get you to just know me?
How can I get you to click on my page from that paid ad?
Yeah, I just want you to watch this video.
So better than a call to action would be an educational post.
Yeah, educational or a guide or, hey, I have this freebie. If you're selling your home in Katy, Texas, here are your top 3 neighborhoods to be looking in. It's just a guide. And now people are much more interested in like, okay, but you stay over there. I'll come a little bit closer to you, but in my way of doing it, but you stay over there. Yeah. Right? And we're like that as human beings.
Yeah,
we're like that.
Stranger danger, yeah.
Yeah.
Even retail, like, hey, so you walk into a store, can I help you find something?
Yeah.
You know, like, no,
No.
I'm just looking.
Yeah.
And then you come back 3 minutes later. Hey,
Yeah.
actually, can you?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm lost
Because we
now.
need to feel comfortable in the space.
What store am I in?
Because we have to feel comfortable in the space.
Question: how much stock do you put into? Like they always say, like, oh, you want to make sure that you're engaging with other relevant content on there. You want to like and comment on other posts similar to yours to help the algorithm. Is that something that you've seen some?
I have heard a lot about that as well. I will say that before I do any posting for myself or my clients, the first 10 minutes are engaging.
Okay.
It's interesting because realtors follow realtors. There's a lot of realtors that follow each other. And I'm like, don't engage with them. If you're going to spend the time engaging, engage with referral partners, engage with vendors, engage with past clients, engage with potential clients. That's who you need to spend the time engaging with, and do it for about 10 minutes, because social media is all about, let me show up, but I'm going to show up for you as well.
And I've noticed, you know, I do engage with other realtors because I'm looking to help them.
Yeah.
I'm looking to.
Well, that's
If that's
different.
your target audience, yeah.
And so, you know, that's you know, I love production and I love selling and helping people buy and sell homes. But now my love and passion is helping agents grow their business and come into the same success we have. So, you know, for me, I am engaging a lot more with those agents, and I'm noticing that they're seeing my content, and it's a reciprocal kind of thing.
Yes, it totally is. Reciprocity is a real thing.
Yeah.
And I'm definitely seeing it on social media. But it all goes back to, what's your end goal? Like, you're trying to be surrounded with more agents that you can continue to help, right? So engaging with them would be beneficial for you. But for an agent who is not trying to
It's
grow
just
a
trying
team,
to sell real estate, that doesn't really help.
No, I'm
Just
like
going with the lunch bunch or going to the builder event, or like, you're not going to sell any homes going there.
yeah. I mean, unless it's a potential referral partner,
Maybe.
right?
Yeah, in the same city, probably not. But.
Right.
Okay, so how can people, if they want to hire you to help them, tell us a little bit about where you are on social, how people can follow you, how they can connect with you if they want to.
Yes. So all of my handles are at Erica Sobba or Erica Sobba Marketing, one of the two. And I also have a website, ericasobba.com. And I offer quite a few different packages based on the way that people have come asking for help. So I've got.
It'd be better if they just reached out to you personally on your website,
Yeah.
on your social.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. For either consulting, I can teach you how to do it, or for those that are like, I don't care to learn, just do it for me. I offer that agency side as well. So.
And I also want people to know the experience that you have, why they should trust you. Tell us also a little bit of just briefly, like, how many people have you helped? What do you do now? Don't you? I think you have like a new role that you just took over, or you're taking over, right? I don't know if that's something that you can share with like HAR or whatever. But anyways, like, you're not just some random marketing person that we just picked off the street. Like,
I'll say this too, is that you know, Erica has come to the Bridge Group and been a tremendous resource, not just to our agents but to our staff. And then, you know, people that follow us are like, hey, what's her number? You know, is she any good? You think I'd have her in our office if she wasn't good? You know, like, yes. And then I look up on social media and she's in their office. And so it's she really is great at what she does, whether she's doing it for you or just consulting with you.
Yeah. Well, a little bit about my story, because I know we're getting pressed on time here, but I actually used to be a first grade teacher. I don't know if you knew that or not.
I didn't.
Yes, I used to
It
be
makes
a first...
sense though.
No.
Sometimes she talks to me like I'm a child.
I know, I got to
And
work
I'm
on
also
that.
listening. So
I still got to work on that, you know? One of these days I'll start handing out
This
stickers.
yeah.
You get a red star.
Yeah, I used to be a first grade teacher, and then about 10 years ago I left, and that's another story as to why I left, but not
children suck.
the reasons that you think. Not at
'cause
all the reasons.
children are bad.
No, I loved my children. I loved
The parents of the children.
I loved the parents.
20 first graders in a room would be
20
There's a
24.
great TikTok channel of this girl, and all she does is she was a teacher and now she's not, and it's about like how she got
horror
like
stories?
burned out teachers,
Yeah.
and all of her like skits are all about like how terrible kids and parents are. Anyways,
Yeah.
Funny stuff.
I actually loved. I loved it. I loved education. But anyway, I ended up leaving. Joined a little mortgage company here in Houston 10 years ago. It was a very tiny mortgage company. There were 3 people there. They had no marketing department. I actually got hired to do business development, outside sales, which I hated. I cried every day for 3 months, and I went to my boss at the time, and I was like, I hate my life. I'm going to go back to teaching. And he was like, no. Why don't you do marketing? And I'm like, okay, yeah, I could do that. And I vividly remember Googling what is marketing because I had no clue what it was. And as any agent who now has to start researching what marketing is can relate, you're overwhelmed with all of this social media, CRM, algorithms, SEO. You're like, what the hell does that mean? And so I went on my merry way of figuring it out. And it wasn't pretty at first. You know, there was a lot of like, okay, I actually don't know what I just did there or why I did that. I'm sorry, we just wasted $2,000 or whatever. But after just being consistent and listening to podcasts, listening to YouTube videos, attending seminars, attending conferences, and listening to these experts talk about this stuff, I'm like, they gotta know what they're talking about. And the biggest thing that I kept hearing was consistency. And I still preach that to this day. I mean, how many times have I used that word today? And so I'm like, okay. And within about 6 months, we started really building traction to the point that we blew up in the investor community.
I remember that, yeah.
We blew up. Oh my gosh, we had so many leads coming in that we had to hire more loan officers. And while that was happening, I had multiple people in the industry, agents, vendors in the industry, in the investor community that were like, will you look at my email marketing? Will you help me with my CRM? Will you look at my social media? And I was back at teaching again. And it was so fun, right? Because now I'm
first graders. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, no one's asking me to tie their shoe. So that was a plus.
Surprise.
And so after 8 years, I made it all the way to EVP of the company, or 7 years, excuse me, EVP of the company, which was super cool, but it plateaued. And I ended up leaving, took a leap of faith, and focused just on teaching people how to do marketing, how to do social media, CRM, email marketing, Facebook ads, Instagram ads, data reporting, testing, tweaking, and the consulting and strategy behind it. I'm like, I've wasted, or maybe not wasted, but I spent hundreds of hours trying to piece this all together. And I'm like, my teacher brain has got this down in a lesson plan from A to Z with pictures included. So let me just show you the shortcuts. And that's what I've been doing for the last few years. When I first started, a lot of my clients were people from my sphere of influence. They're like, oh, thank God, I can hire you now to help me. And it started out that way. And I focused on Facebook of just promoting that I had left this mortgage company that everybody knew. That was like my identity, is at this mortgage company, because I was there for 7 years. And so as I started to like build that, no, I'm out on my own, I'm flying away and starting this little gig, I slowly started to build some traction. And it started with just consulting, just teaching people how to do it. But then over a year or so, I had people that were like, girl, I don't want to learn this. Just do it for me. And for a while, I was passing that up. No, because it is time consuming. It's a time commitment. There is no get rich quick. There is no luck. It's time, and it's work, and it's commitment, and it's planning, and it's strategy. It's a lot. And so I had a lot of people that were like, do it for me. And I was like, no. And then after a certain period of time, I said, okay, I'm passing way too much business up and so many people that need help. So I'm going to open up this line of business. And once I did that, it blew up. So I've got both sides. And then I teach a lot of classes across Texas because I've taught in Dallas, I've taught in San Antonio, I've taught in Austin, obviously all over Greater Houston. And then eventually HAR reached out to me.
Big recent win.
That's
yes,
awesome.
Huge. She had a marketing instructor that I guess retired or something like that. And the lady who books the instructors had started reaching out. Hey, I need a marketing instructor. And she heard, oh, Erica Sobba, you got to get Erica Sobba. And she reached out. I'm like, wait, me? Me? And so I was able to book that. And so once a month, every month, I teach a 6-hour, in-depth, very intense marketing class to real estate agents for all that's offered to all HAR members, which is insane.
That's cool.
That's awesome.
And you do it live? You don't pre-record it?
I do it live.
Okay.
It is right then
Do
and
it
there.
live.
Doing it live.
We are there for 6 hours live.
I'm gonna
And
teach
we're
you a
talking
hack.
about
If
doing
you pre-record it, then
Yeah, I know,
you don't
right?
have to.
Yeah, it's been a wonderful ride. Wonderful ride. All the things that I get to do. And it's all going back to providing value to agents and helping them with their marketing.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us on the Behind the Curtain podcast.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you guys for watching to the end of the video. Depending upon when this video goes out, you may or may not have the opportunity to join us, but please come join us. We still have a few spots left at our open house panel. Myself, Cole, and Taylor, as well as Sobba Mafia, will be speaking at this panel about how to do a kick-ass open house that generates business today. So if you can make it, please sign up, register for a few last remaining seats. If you don't get to watch this video until after it, don't worry. We're going to be doing more panels this year about all the things that you need to know to be a successful real estate agent. So we hope that you guys are able to attend it and see us at one of those events. Please come and say hi. Thank you again so much for watching, and we will see you guys on the next one.